I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my friend Greg Taylor, who is the founder and CEO of Sertainty. Greg, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, we want to dig in a little bit to the company and kind of the origins, but before we do, just briefly, what is it that you guys do at Sertainty?
What do we do at Sertainty? We are the inventors and the first to commercialize self-aware and self-protecting data. We do that by embedding an intelligence module, tiny, inside of a data file. And it's very, very powerful.
It's the right time for something like that. There's so many data security problems.
We feel like the market is starting to catch up with us. A lot of very prominent people, CISOs, both in the federal and the commercial sectors, are starting to talk about data needs to be more aware, data needs to take more of an active role. You've seen a lot of publications put stories out there. IDC, several others have put stories out there calling attention to the fact that at the end of the day, it's the data that the thieves are after.
Yeah. Now, what was it that inspired or kind of lit the fire to start the company? What was that inspiration?
That's a great question. I spent years in the investment banking arena and spent a lot of time here in New York. In fact, I used to live, I had a mini suite at the La Parker Meridian Hotel.
There you go. Not a bad place.
It was a nice place. They had the best health spas in the city. So in that world, I was involved in the first internet-based payments system that was a fully end-to-end, fully integrated system. It would do everything back in 1998 that all of your really high-tech payment systems will do today. And through just a journey, I met our inventor, and he had the unfortunate experience of having his identity stolen. And woke up in a nightmare. Very intelligent guy, many patents to his name and database technology and other areas as well. And so we had the opportunity to meet and we connected right away, and he was interested in our technology because he had been actually hacked in a internet payments scenario. And so he came to me one day. He made an investment initially in the company, and then he called me up about 6 weeks later and he said, "I need to talk to you." And I thought, "Oh, he's not happy with his investment." It wasn't that at all. He said, "I want to come and work with you."
Well, you got to back up here. So from the investment position to starting a company. That's a big change.
It was.
What was going through your mind then?
Well,
quit a big job.
Well, at first I couldn't believe that he was really that serious, because he was in a very significant position with a Fortune 50 company, maybe Fortune 25 company, and a major inventor there as well. And so, I think the first thing I said is, "Are you kidding?" He said, "No, I'm serious." So he came to Nashville and made a few trips to Nashville, and then he made the decision to leave this mega company that he had been with for many years and was very respected and well known there and in that whole community. And he joined this payments company that I was trying to, it never went into bankruptcy, but I was able to get control of it. It was a company that had $140 million invested in some very serious technology. So he came in. He worked with us for about, I would say, a couple of months, going through 3.5 million lines of code of this this payments technology. And he walked in my office one day and he said, "Greg, I've got some bad news for you. I got some good news for you." I said, "I always like the bad news first, so the good news will cheer me up." He said, "Well, the bad news is computing power," he said, "it's good and it's bad, is increasing every day. And also the hackers are getting smarter and smarter every day."
True and true.
Yeah. And he said, "It's going to take a lot of money, but I think I can stay a little bit ahead of both." And I said, "A little bit ahead?" He said, "Yeah, we're going to have to make some changes and re-architect some things somewhere down the road. But I think I can keep the technology where it is today. It's never been broken, and stay a little bit ahead of computing power and the smart hackers out there." I said, I don't like that sound of a little bit ahead. And he said, well, I have another option for you. And I said, okay, what's that? He said, this is the good news. He said, I've been playing with something for years. And he said, he said, this is one of those in your basement stories. He said, I started working with some technology and just kept evolving it through the years. And I would take the early computers apart and hook them together to try to get more computing power. And he said, as computing power evolved, he said, I began to prove out my theories that this technology that I had in my mind could really work. And I said, okay, you're killing me. What technology are you talking about? He said, well, I've invented a way to create, an object that's got intelligence in it. And he said, it could be embedded in a data file. It could be embedded in anything. It could be in, payments transactions. And he said to me, he said, I'm an engineer, and I don't say nothing can ever be broken. And he said, I will say too, it's something can always be broken somehow, some way. But he said, what I can tell you is I can put us years ahead of computing power, and I can put us years ahead of the smart hackers out there. Because he began sharing with me this horror story he went through where he got his identity stolen. Yeah. And he woke up in a nightmare. And he was determined that he wasn't going to spend the tens of thousands that you hear about. He's a smart guy, so he went after the bad people himself. He went after all the credit card companies, the banks that opened up credit in his name. And he just is one of those guys that he's like a pit bulldog. I mean, he latches onto something, he won't turn loose. And he eventually beat him and made it all go away. But he never wanted to go through that experience again, and he didn't want other people to go through that experience again because he realized how costly, how disruptive it is to people's lives to have your identity stolen. So, I've always been, that's how in this particular payment system I got involved because I saw the hacks like we all did back in the early days of the internet, and payment systems out there had lots of holes in them. So I was interested in protecting people's personal information as well because I've actually known other people myself that have either had their identity stolen or people open up credit somehow, getting their social security number, information, and go buy a house. And it is a nightmare. I've watched it. I've seen it firsthand. So, I wanted to do something about it too. So when Greg told me about this new invention he had, I said, bring it in. He said, would you like to see it? I said, bring it in. So he brought a computer from home, and he fired it up, and he actually played a Beatles song, and he turned it around to me, and he said, now here are my credentials. I want you to play this Beatles song. Here are my credentials. You go ahead and play the song. He's one of those people that, he can look at you and type 200 words a minute or write code, just his fingers are flying. Well, at best, I'm 50, 60 word guy. And so, he gave me his credentials. I keyed them in. It wouldn't work. And I said, all right, you did something. You didn't give me the right credentials. He said, no, watch me. So he keyed them in. Of course, his fingers are moving faster than mine. He simply just had it time out. It timed out on me. It didn't time out on him. And he said, this is just one of the functionalities that I can build into this technology. And he started talking about, rules and compliance and governance and protection and mitigation. And I was hooked. So
how quickly then did you run out and start the company?
Well, the company already existed in this old previous payment system, so we just shifted gears. I mean, he wanted to know, do you want to spend, he threw a big figure out and go down this path, or do you want to, get way ahead of the bad guys, not spend as much money, and let's see where this goes. I said it's an easy decision.
It's funny how consistent that story is with the mission today.
Oh, it is.
It hasn't shifted that much.
I believe, Ed, that our technology is going to universally be accepted. We have a gentleman in your organization that's helping us work through NIST, and we believe we can become NIST compliant. And I believe our technology will save lives on many fronts. On many fronts, I believe I just saw a news story just as I got home last night, and I turned on the news before I went to bed for a few minutes, and they were talking about turning off pacemakers if you could be within 30 feet of somebody walking down the street out here. We can protect that messaging. Our technology platform, software can be designed to enhance or the security aspects of it and have our technology embedded in it, and you can't turn off somebody's pacemaker. Things in operating rooms. Can you imagine being in open heart surgery, which I just had a close relative go through that here recently? Can you imagine being right in the middle of that and the hospital gets shut down? All of a sudden everything gets shut down. And they fire up, generators, and they got all kinds of backup systems. But who wants anything to be shut down when your heart might be in somebody's hands and they just stopped it, and all of a sudden now everything's shut down? You're hoping the batteries work in the recharge, the wake up. But anyway, it's I have a passion. I want our technology to change the world. I want it to save people's lives. I mean, just think about the money that gets stolen from people. I mean, that can wreck a life. I mean, there's many ways that you can save a life, not just literally alive or dead. And I know that our technology is not the silver bullet that kills every wolf, but I also absolutely know, Ed, that our technology is a major part of the answer to the challenges that we have in the world we live in today.
Well, it's very refreshing to see a CEO have a real purpose statement for the company.
Yes.
We've talked to Tag Cyber, we talked to a lot of companies that don't, but it's really wonderful to see that you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your story.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Loved hearing it.
Thank you.
And stop by
Yes.
anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we'll see you next time.